All right, let's do the show. This is the crazy daily show about the stock market, this S&P 500 futures. These are the December contracts. And for my members just that are trading the futures, just be aware, these do expire, I think, on the 15th in December. So about 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks. Any trades I'm making, I'm already doing them on the March contract. So just keep that in mind. If you're taking any positions, especially swing trades, I'd be really careful about trading the December contracts. All right, let's get started. We're going to look at the weekly chart up here. We're going to look at the daily and the trade of the day. So this is the weekly chart right here. Happy post-Thanksgiving to everybody. First day of the week right here. So that's why the candlestick's super small. It is red. And of course, since today's Monday, it's first day of the week for trading. There's our range for the whole week, 18. We'll look at that in the daily. Pretty amazing stuff, how small the range is. Okay, daily range on the SMI, weekly is on the SMI is 77. It's pretty high. That's starting to get up there. The MACD, not so much, but just beginning to cross over. All right. But it's more of a long-term, kind of very slow moving. So even the weekly over the next few weeks, we want to be looking at the SMI and the Big Daddy forecast, which is my own indicator down here. I've seen it higher, but it came from way down here. Look how far it came from down here. So quite often when it gets this low, like it was back here in October, it won't go as high. The stock market run out of gas. So what am I talking about? Look over here. See how low it was? It was way down here. Way back in October of 2022. Well, it couldn't even get up to this top line right here, right? Ran out of gas and pulled back first. All right. Let's look and see how low. What was this low right here? Let's pay attention to. We want to pay attention to this number right here. All right. So way back here on the week of, looks like it was the 23rd, October 23rd, it got down to 6, let's just call it 6.97 even, okay? So get the eraser out here. And back here was probably much lower than that, right? Here was negative 37. Trying to find something that's similar. This was a 10. This was a 20. This one was a 32. Okay. So anyway, in this area, these lows got pretty low. And it peaked out. When it eventually peaked out up here. And pulled back, right? Now this one pulled back when it hit the 50. The 50, I think it's the 50 on the here's the, yeah, it's, sorry, that was the, maybe it wasn't, yeah, this is the 50, I think this was the 50-week moving average right here, this blue line. So I'm just trying to look at where we're at right now today, and also this peaked where, when was up here, 74, and right now we're at 77. If you want to know what I'm looking at now, I'm looking at this number right here. And way back here in October 2022, it was at 74 was the peak. Well, maybe a little higher. Yeah, 74. Didn't get any higher than that. This one way over here was 79. This one was 68. So it's really important when I'm looking at this kind of long-term stuff in the weekly chart to look both at the Big Daddy, look at the SMI within the context of this more slower moving MACD. Of course, we look at other things like candlestick patterns and resistance and supports and stuff like that. But right now we're dealing with resistance areas, right? So 359 down here, yeah, it's kind of high, considering it came from way down here. And also we're at 77 up here, SMI. So yeah, I can see the market probably just about to start running out of gas here, even on the weekly chart. In other words, this crossover, the MACD, might just kind of fade and then do one of these deals. I don't think it's going to get way up here again. I don't think it's going to do that. So the weekly chart's starting to show some pretty decent weakness. Basically, what this all comes down to. Okay, let's switch to the daily. If you want to know the weekly cycles, this one, January 14th, to me is the big one. Now, there is something which basically this week, a possibility for a little pullback here, but I don't think it's going to happen considering how strong the market is. I think it's going to flatten out here. We'll look at that in the daily here in a moment. But January 14th, that second week of January, yeah, I think that's where you're going to see on a weekly time frame anyway, a bigger, potentially bigger pullback. Let's go look at the daily. Okay, so here on the daily, here's that January 8th, the big purple cycle right here. This is cycle low, cycle analysis, so we expect the price to start coming down. Not to say it's going to come all the way down here to 4,300. I don't know yet, but just drawing arrows, giving you an idea of what I think the market's going to do. It's going to start working its way down, okay? Now, there is a cycle low here on December 10th. I do think it's going to come into play. Okay, the weekly market the weekly cycle, as I said already, looks weak. Okay? There's some other data that I'm not showing here that's members only data that also I think we're going to have a pretty decent pullback. Okay? I think we're having a pretty decent pullback. And I think on the Discord server, and I'll put in tonight's email what I think is going to happen, which I'm going to reserve that for members only, about what I think, how big I think the pullback is going to be. But here it is, December 10th is the first one. And then January 8th one, I think it's going to be a bigger pullback. But we'll wait to see how that pans out as we get out there. So, but right now, this looking like it's having a real hard time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of all touched right here at the 45.66 resistance. Okay, which goes all the way back here to back into September. And the days, of course, there's one or two Thanksgiving holiday shortened trading days in here. But this was today, the day that just finished just now. That only had a range of 18. So even today, Monday, which is a full trading day, not a holiday, really tight range day. When you get to the trade of the day here in a minute, though, you're going to see it was still a moneymaker today. Okay, with this, people using the service, right? For the members using the service, there's still opportunity. We'll get to that in a little bit here. But look at all these 6 days here, all stacked up against there. So lots of resistance. I can see there's a crossover here. There is still, I think, a possibility it could pop to 46.31, but I think that chance probability is beginning to decline. Okay, so let's take a look at this stochastic momentum index right here. The number is, kind of low. The highest I got was over here. But the number is not so much as important as this divergence that's going on. See these white, red, and yellow dots on the daily chart here? That's divergence, meaning the price has been going up, but this indicator is beginning to droop. Okay, lots of times, but not always, lots of times this means the market's going to fall. It's going to start coming down. And when I see them happening both on the SMI and the Big Daddy forecast, usually it's, starting to get kind of serious. So we got divergence going on both of these indicators, okay? And the MACD's got that I'm flattened out, starting to pinch look. Even though it didn't really get that high, highest it got was, pretty much where it's at right now, 64. And it may not get much higher. And again, because it came from so low, down here. Okay, nice huge run though, right? Monster run. So a little more patience here to see if this is going to get one last pop. I know there's a lot of hedge funds and large funds and even retail traders all waiting to see who's going to be the brave one to pop up into this area and really push it. Some big orders to push this thing to the 46.31. No one's willing to take that risk so far. Right? Everybody's just kind of hanging out. And the market just, when you begin to see this kind of consolidation going on, right? Choppy chop. Sometimes you still do get that push, and it pushes through, and then it's going to pull back. So that's not completely out of the picture. But right now, based on what I'm seeing right here, the market's starting to give it up. And I think we're going to see a pullback down into here, into December 10th. Yep. Like I said, for the members, there's some other data that's been suggesting this pullback for quite a while, and this pullback could surprise people and be bigger than expected. Again, I'm going to reserve my opinion about what I think the depth of this pullback is going to be for the members, okay? All right, let's look at the trade of the day. All right, so here we are on the 1 hour chart. Now, we don't do the 1 hour chart trade of the day on the 1 hour chart too often, but it does happen. And there were some other trades on the 5 minute and 15 minute streaming charts as well. And this is also a streaming chart that goes out to the members. They get the 5 to 15 minute and the 1 hour, and they get the Gatos Plus indicator on here. And this one happened right here. Look at this trade of the day here. Okay. This came in at 7 o'clock last night. Showed up on the streaming chart. Really nice. Now, at that point, the market was still going down. And as low as it was at the time this came in, you know, I wouldn't be trading that short because it's already looking very bottomish, right? You also have the MACD below the zero line here. We can ignore the Big Daddy forecast for now. It's not really, I don't really use this on the 5 minute chart. Just have it sitting on here. This is more of a daily thing. I'm sorry, in the 1 hour chart. I don't use it on the shorter time frames. I use it on the 1 hour and the weekly. I'm sorry, the daily and the weekly. I'll get it right. But usually I reserve this for the daily. But just looking at this trade, you know, this trade to me was pretty straightforward. You're going to wait because the market's already given up a lot right here. You're waiting for it to get down to the bottom and start to curl over or curl under, as they say. Right there is your trade. Starts to curl up. Super nice. If you want to be super safe, you could grab it out here, but I wouldn't. With the market being as tight as it is at the top, you're looking to squeeze out some scalps. Basically what we're talking about here. So this is your trade right here. So this as soon as it begins to roll up here, you're taking your trade. So you might get, let's see, you don't get too much out of this, man. This was a very tight day, 18-point day. So this was all the way up to, let's see, what do we got here? We got about a 63, we'll call it, right there. And down here was, 58. So we're talking 5 points. That's how tight it was. Look at this. I talk about this a lot. Anyway, so there was a small trade right here, right? You might get 2, 3, 4 points out of this. Maybe 5. That's it. This is not a tradable day. There's nothing there. None of this is tradable. Now, why do I say that? I'm sure there's people that did trade, and they probably, I bet a lot of people lost money today, back and forth, yin and yang. I don't trade these kind of days. If I was to make this trade back here, I would have made it right away and just be patient. I would have picked up maybe like 4 or 5 points, and that would have been it. Now, I talk about this all the time. It's really worth mentioning. You see all these candlesticks here? They have a lot of wicks on them. They have both upper wicks. Look at all these wicks, right? A lot of upper wick and lower wick. Look at all these lower wicks on the same candlesticks, right? Both same candlestick has upper and lower wick. That's all you need to, when you see that, you know you got a chop fest going on. Just forget about it. Don't trade the day. You're just going to drive yourself nuts. Now, you can trade that little 1 minute chart and do all that stuff if you want to, but I personally just don't trade these kind of days. Once I get into this this is just a big fat mess right here. Now look at this. It ran from 68 down to about 60, maybe 58. You had 10 points throughout the whole day. That's all this is, 10 points. It's not worth it. As soon as you start getting these wacky wicks, up, high wick and low wick, forget it. Just stop what you're doing. Take the day off. But nevertheless, there was a trade right there. Let's look at the 5 minute chart, because it might have been able to squeeze a little more blood out of that 5 minute chart. Not sure. I didn't take a good hard look at. Yeah. See, the 5 minute chart here actually rendered some pretty good opportunity. And believe it or not, the best opportunity was late in the afternoon. Look at this. This was 1:40 in the afternoon, Texas time. Probably the best trade of the day right there. Really nice. Again, you're talking about a day with only a range of 18. Yeah, he starts to curl up right there. MACD is super negative, so you got to be super careful here. Do a little bit of a risky trade when you've got this far negative. Okay, because it crosses over really late way over here, which in this case wasn't too bad. You still could get in right in this area. Okay, as choppy as this day was, I probably would have waited till like way over here as it crossed over. So that puts us about right here. Put you right in there. It's better to be safe. Made a little push, gets into the chop, and then goes again. With all this mess back over here, I would have waited for, in this particular case, I would have waited right here. But either way, whether you got in right there or got in right there, they're both pretty good trade. One's a little bit more money than the other, that's all. But let's see, we're looking at super tight. Oh my gosh, what a tight day. 2, 4, 6, and then 8. Yeah, about 8 total range here. Right, maybe a little more, about 10. From 58 to 68. All right, 58 here, all the way up to 68. Now, you know there's no way you're going to catch all this on a day like today. I say you catch 6, maybe 7 of this. Okay, so between the 1 hour trade and the 5-minute chart trade for the members here, this 5-minute chart one was probably the best one of the day. Both would have made you money, but it looks like the 5-minute would have made a little bit more money. But again, on a day like this, I just don't like trading it. I just step away, no problem. There's going to be better days. The market's looking very peaky right now. It's only going to do one or two things. It's going to bust through up to that 46.31 area, or she's going to begin to roll over, which looks like to me the probability of the two is it's going to start rolling over and down into that December 10th cycle low. For the members, make sure you read your email tonight. I'll put in there approximately how much I think it's going to come down, and I'll talk just briefly in a sentence or two about the data that supports my opinion about that. Okay. All right, everybody. God bless. Happy trading, everybody. Talk to you all real soon again next time.